identify where any wildlife is on the tour. On the way to Clockworks is off to my left is 9 o'clock. Straight ahead of the boat is 12. Off to my right is 3. Keep in mind your sea location varies a bit from mine. So we're going to be entering into the upper lake of the Myakka River. If you can believe the scientists, the whole Myakka Valley had its beginnings about 2 million years ago when the whole of Florida was underneath the Atlantic Ocean. As the Atlantic waters receded, they pulled out the indentation that became the Myakka Valley, which includes the river, the upper, and the lower lakes. Both the upper and the lower lakes are in the park. This is the larger of the two, the upper lake we're entering into. Lower Lake's on the other side of Route 72. That's the main highway you came up to the entrance to the park from. It's in a more wilderness area. Rangers require that you register with them and get a permit before they let you go into that more wilderness area. I guess that's so if you don't come back, they want to know where to look for your bones. This lake's about 1,000 acres. It's a mile wide and it's 2.5 miles long. And the widest part of the lake is right in front of us from the mouth of the boat basin to the opposite shore. That's about a mile. 2 miles up to the right is where the Myakka River empties into the lake. 1/4 of a mile down to the left is where it exits. You get out a bit farther, you'll see down there to the left there's a wooden platform with a shed roof over part of it. On the other side of that platform there's a concrete weir that goes across the bottom of the lake. Some people think of the weir as a dam. A weir is a little different than a dam. A dam is built to hold back all the water that comes up to it, and a weir is built with a rounded top so the high water can flow over it. That's why we call it a weir. On the other side of that weir is where the river starts to narrow, and from that point it meanders for about 35 miles to empty out into Charlotte Harbor. From Charlotte Harbor it empties out into the Gulf of Mexico. Sandhill Crane over here, past that chair there. That picnic table. This entire watershed is totally dependent on rainfall, so all the water you see here is rainwater. We have a rainy season that runs here from the 1st of June to the end of September. We had quite a rainy season last year. At the end of the rainy season, the level of the lake was close to 6 feet higher than it is now. But we're in the dry time of the year. We don't get much rain here in the winters. So the level of the lake's been dropping since the end of the rainy season. Deepest part of the lake right now would be out about 1 o'clock out there in the middle. And that's probably 4 feet deep. Right here it's not even 3 feet deep here. So any adult on the boat, if we had to, you could just step right off the boat and walk right to shore. Of course, you might want to take into account the 500 to 1,000 alligators that live in the lake before you decide to do that. There's one out there now, 12:30. 500 to 1,000 alligators, but geez, that's a lot of gators. Besides that one, where the heck are all the rest of them? You know, you'd think with that many gators, you'd see them everywhere here. Well, mostly they're just lying around on the bottom. One of the reasons they're not at the surface is because there's a little bit of a breeze that's coming out of the west here, so northwest. Alligators don't like any kind of wind at all. They like calm, still water. One of the reasons they don't like wind is they have these valves that cover their nostrils and their ear openings. They don't have external ears like you and I have, but they have ear openings beyond their eyes. And the valves are important to them because when they go underwater, the valves cover their nostrils and cover their ear openings and stop the water from flowing in. But they come up to the surface, even if there's a little bit of a breeze blowing, it causes the valves to flap open and close, and it's an automatic reaction. The gator has no control over it, and it seems to be annoying to them. So they don't like to come up in wind at all. Oh, excuse me. Of course, they do have to breathe oxygen. They have lungs, the same as you and I have lungs. But we are warm-blooded mammals, most of us. And we have to breathe every 2 to 3 minutes to stay alive. But alligators, they're cold-blooded reptiles. They actually can stay submerged under the water for hours on one breath of air. Yeah, up to 24 hours if they have to. They don't always choose to do that, but they're capable of doing that. Well, we did find some over on the North Shore on the last tour, so I'm going to head back over there and see if they're still there and get over there as quick as possible. I'm going to get this boat up to its top end speed of 5 miles an hour. We'll race across the lake.
To get it to that speed, I got to get the engine running about 4,000 RPM. It gets a little loud, so I'm going to shut off the microphone while we cruise, so feel free to talk amongst yourselves and enjoy the ride. We get to the other side, I'll quiet the engine down. We'll talk more about gators and whatever else we find. I'd like to thank the 3 people on the bow for being willing to absorb any water that might come over, so the rest you keep your phone. I guess I forgot to tell you about that part. Okay, well, enjoy the ride, and I'll talk to you shortly.